Good morning, and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Weather permitting, the Farmer City Raceway season will be kicking off with a big event this weekend. Kurt Homan, Executive Director of the DeWitt County Development Council, explains that last night racers were on the track in Farmer City getting ready for Friday and Saturday's Illini 100 race. The event will be the season opener for the venue.
Yeah, so that race is scheduled for this weekend. So they'll have practice Thursday nights, which a lot of fans come out to. And then the actual race event is Friday and Saturday. And that's the Illini 100. And that is the first race of the year. And actually, it's a very big race. So Farmer City, weather permitting, we're hopeful that it's able to happen. But that event typically brings 6,000 to 8,000 people over the 3-day time period into Farmer City. And certainly the gas stations, convenience stores, restaurants really benefit from that. And so we're hopeful that event happens. It's interesting. There's a lot of, and I'm not a huge race fan, in terms of vehicles, but there's a lot of people that go through there that go on to become really big names, in the NASCAR world and sprint cup world and all those things. So it's really a pretty entertaining event, and it's amazing to me the names that come through that.
A lot of planning goes into an event like this. Due to the size of the crowd it typically draws and the economic development that brings, the Raceway is working with community law enforcement and other organizations to make sure everyone has a fun and safe experience.
There are people that have been involved in working the track and food prep and all of those things that have been preparing for months, of course, for this kickoff event. So, I just kind of watch from a distance and let the people that really know what they're doing do their thing. But there is a lot of planning involved, and it's the local police departments, the county police, and those things are all aware of what's going on. And sometimes it's traffic control. At peak times to get into the raceway, the lines can get out onto a U.S. highway, and that becomes challenging. And then seating and crowd control, and but it's always been a really safe and fun event, and it's very dependent on weather, of course. So again, we're hopeful. We see some rain in the forecast, but we're hopeful that that event happens, and who knows? I feel there's a good chance that it will, but yes. And if not, it gets rescheduled. Perfect. That's the other good thing. Yeah. So, but it is a huge draw for the community and area, in fact. So several hotels in the area get filled for that weekend because of that event.
Tickets are not yet sold out for the races taking place this evening and tomorrow at the Farmer City Raceway. Learn more and purchase tickets by visiting farmercityracing.com. While races on the dirt track are always fun, the University of Illinois rowing team and many others will be competing at Clinton Lake this summer. We'll have more with Homan on that in the days ahead from the Hart Media Group. Learn more about the DeWitt County Development Council at dcdc-illinois.net. Illinois school leaders are bracing for the impending budget cuts from the state of Illinois. Blue Ridge School Superintendent Ryan Payton, like many other superintendents in the state, is concerned about the impacts on his school from cuts to mandated categorical funding that are typically reimbursed by the state, specifically for transportation. While this may not affect them immediately, he says they will feel it in the long run.
Yes, obviously those reimbursables are going to be impacted is what it appears. I mean, they're already, we're prorated around 60 to 70% in some different areas, and that could go even lower, right? And one of the areas that impacts, right, is that if we're not receiving that state funding or federal funding in these areas, then it has to come from local dollars. And so when that happens, right, it potentially takes away from, other programs, or it's money that's being siphoned out of other places that support students for transportation in this case specifically. So yeah, it definitely will have an impact, and we'll kind of see where that goes. It obviously will also probably impact fund balances if we're not receiving that, right, drawing down kind of those areas. And hopefully that's something that can still be remedied at some point, but we will wait and see. We've had some basic conversations, for us right now, we rely truly on a lot of local tax dollars to cover our spots, to cover our revenues. I mean, that provide our revenues, let me say that. And so I mean, over 80, probably 85% of our funding is local compared to other districts, that provide or in that need a lot of state funding to, maybe sometimes there's 8% that provide the state funding is what they have. So I think we'll be okay, with these cuts, obviously, but they will impact us in the long term. If we continually have to utilize local tax dollars to support that, it's taking away from money that could be spent in other areas, whether that's new teachers, whether that's, curriculum, whether that's just a variety of other things that support student learning and outcomes. So, it has to come from somewhere. So, it will definitely have an impact long term.
Hiring bus drivers is something that many districts already struggle to accomplish. Cuts would only make it harder for competitive wages to be offered. Peyton notes Blue Ridge's 212 square mile footprint could be stressed even more to get kids to school with these likely cuts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's always something that we're trying to hire and find. I mean, we definitely right now we have a great group of drivers that are here and aides, and we're very thankful. I mean, they step up and do a lot of additional work and are very flexible, just to kind of assist. If somebody's sick, we don't have a huge pool of sub drivers. So. Typically we do have a few though that we're very thankful that help us out in situations where we're down a driver. We had some situations this year, not as many as we have this year as maybe the last year or two, where we've had to combine some bus routes, just to make sure that we can get people home on time. And there's a little bit of delay there, but it is kind of some just flexibility and different options that we've had to incorporate. And as you know, Seth, we are a big district. I mean, we cover 212 square miles. So there is a lot of transportation that's happening as far as bus routes go. So, when you talk about going back to those reimbursables or those mandated categoricals not being fully funded, it does impact a district like ours since there is so much travel that takes place.
The first-year superintendent shares his frustration over continued funding cuts to things that the state requires districts to provide. Despite that, Peyton says they are adapting to changes. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Looking for a provider who puts your health first? SIU Family Medicine is accepting new patients. Our care teams are here to keep you healthy, whether you're managing a chronic condition or staying on top of preventative care. With expert physicians and compassionate care, we are here to help you take the next step in your health. Call 217-735-2317 today to schedule your first appointment. That's 217-735-2317. SIU Medicine. Forward for you.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. In a game heard on WHOW and online at DeWittDailyNews.com, the Clinton Bats came alive as the Lady Maroons ended a 6-game losing streak with an 8-4 win over Tuscola in Central Illinois Conference high school softball action on Thursday at Clinton High School. The Lady Warriors got their first 3 batters on base, but Olivia Haynes settled down and only allowed a run in the first inning. Clinton got the run back in its half of the first, all with 2 outs. Hadley Humble doubled, and Riley Fentress brought in the first of her 2 runs on the day with a base hit to tie it at 1-1. Clinton exploded for 3 runs in the third inning, highlighted by run-scoring hits from Humble, Laney Brewer to go up 4-1. Tuscola got 2 back at the top of the fourth inning, but again the Lady Maroons answered with 2 more runs. Humble and Fentress hit back-to-back run-scoring doubles to make it 6-3. Clinton capped its scoring with 2 more runs in the fifth to go up 8-3, and Tuscola got a garbage time run for the final tally of 8-4. Humble was 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and 2 RBIs. Avery Smith finished 3 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs scored for Clinton. Brewer was 2 for 3 with an RBI for the Maroons. Tuscola falls to 4-6 overall and 0-3 in the Central Illinois Conference. Clinton improves to 4-7 overall and is 1-1 in the CIC. They play again on Friday. Brock Wilson and Stone Stith went yard, and Clinton rolled Tuscola 7-3 in Central Illinois Conference high school baseball action on Thursday in Clinton. Wilson and Stith's power backed a strong outing from Preston Curtis, who pitched into the 7th inning. Leading 3-0 in the 4th inning, Stith's 2-run shot to left capped a 4-run inning. Wilson's blast to left in the 3rd put the Maroons in front 6-0. Curtis struck out 9 in 6 1/3 innings of 2-run ball. The senior issued 5 walks but allowed just 1 hit. Wilson finished 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs. The Maroons are 9-3 overall and 2-0 in the CIC. They will take on DMAC on Saturday in Mackinac. Forrest Rodden drove in 6 runs, including a game-breaking grand slam, and Monticello rallied to its 13th straight win to start the season, a 10-7 win over rival Tolono Unity on Thursday in a powerhouse matchup of elite high school baseball programs in Illini Prairie Conference action from Tolono. Rodden's 5th inning grand slam made the score 10-4 Monticello. He added a 2-run single in the 3rd. Rodden followed up a dominant performance on the mound Wednesday with a 2nd straight massive performance against the Sages' biggest rival. Despite giving up 7 runs, 6 were earned. Junior Zeke Young earned the win with 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, and 4 hits. Dawson Gatros fired 2 shutout innings to preserve the win for the Sages. Monticello fell behind 4-1 before scoring 9 unanswered. Monticello is 13-0 and 1-0 in the Illini Prairie Conference. They continue Illini Prairie Conference action on Saturday, hosting IVC. Alyssa Armstrong faced 2 over the minimum, twirling a no-hitter as Argenta-Oreana made easy work of Okaw Valley 14-0 in Lincoln Prairie Conference high school softball action on Thursday in Argenta. Armstrong struck out 7 and hit the same batter twice in the dominant performance for the Lady Bombers. Sophia Wicklund was 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and added a double for Argenta-Oreana. Addison Maiden hit a triple for the Lady Bombers. Argenta-Oreana is 6-7 overall and 1-0 in the Lincoln Prairie. They will host Decatur St. Teresa and Fisher for a twin bill on Saturday. Anthony Kay allowed 3 hits in 5 2/3 innings to pick up his first major league victory since July 2021 as the Chicago White Sox beat the Kansas City Royals 2-0 on Thursday night.
The misery in Missouri is finally over for the White Sox. A streak that had spanned 14 games over 2 years, dating back to April 4th, 2024, is finally finito. The Sox shut out the Royals 2-0 in Kansas City. Colson Montgomery clubbed the double to put the Sox on top and in front for good.
Delivers, and that ball is hammered on a line out toward right center base hit. It's going to get to the fence. Murakami digging hard. He's going to be sent by Justin Jershely. Here's the relay throw by Witt, and it's off the mark. And it's 1-0.
Sir Anthony Dominguez slammed the door and completed the clean sheet with his 2nd save as a member of the White Sox.
The pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So they end a 14-game losing streak in this ballpark.
Now that the nightmare is finally over, the Sox look to start a streak of their own in Kansas City. I'm Jeff Meller, and I'll have your pregame coverage starting at 6 p.m. Friday on the ESPN 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
The White Sox and Royals will play the 2nd game of a 4-game series on Friday night. Chicago will send right-handed pitcher Davis Martin to the mound to face Kansas City's left-handed Chris Bubich. Leonard Miller scored a career-high 26 points and matched his career best with 11 rebounds as the Chicago Bulls eased to a 119-101 victory over the Washington Wizards on Thursday night to sweep a 2-game set. Trey Jones scored 31 points and Colin Sexton added 27 for the Bulls, who won 129-98 at Washington on Tuesday night to snap a 7-game skid. Miller, Jones, and Sexton combined to shoot 65.3%, or 32 of 49, as Chicago, who improves to 31 and 49, pulled even with Milwaukee for 11th place in the Eastern Conference and the best record among teams eliminated for postseason contention. Bulls center Gershon Yabusele departed early in the 3rd quarter with a sprained left shoulder. Will Riley scored 23 points to lead Washington, which had 10 players sidelined by injuries. Julian Reese added 16 points and 15 rebounds for the NBA worst Wizards, who have lost 24 of 25 to sink to 17 and 63 with 2 games remaining. Chicago took control by outscoring Washington 16-4 to close the third quarter. Trey Jones scored the last 6 points of that stretch, including consecutive layups in the final minute to make it 87-74. The Bulls will host Orlando on Friday, while the Wizards host Miami on Friday. Logan Stankoven had 2 goals and an assist, helping the depleted Carolina Hurricanes beat the Chicago Blackhawks 7-2 on Thursday night. Taylor Hall added a goal and an assist as Carolina improved to 9-3-0 in its last 12 games. Mark Jankowski scored twice, and Sean Walker and K'Andre Miller also added goals in the opener of a 4-game trip, and Frederick Anderson made 23 saves. Playing without several regulars in their first game since clinching the Metropolitan Division title, the Hurricanes stayed 2 points ahead of Buffalo for the top spot in the Eastern Conference. The Sabres cruised to a 5-0 victory over Columbus. Anton Frondell had 2 goals for Chicago in his 9th career game. Spencer Knight stopped 15 shots. The last place Blackhawks, who are 28, 37, and 14, lost for the 7th time in 8 games. Stankoven snapped a 1-1 tie when he flicked a shot past Knight on a drive to the net with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first period. He also cleaned up a rebound for his 21st goal 4 minutes and 8 seconds into the second. Jankowski got a piece of Alexander Nikishin's shot with 5 minutes and 10 seconds left in the second, giving Carolina a 4-1 lead. He also scored his 10th goal on a one-timer at 12 minutes and 51 seconds into the third. There were scattered boos at a mostly empty United Center as the final seconds ticked off. Frondell, who turns 19 on May 7th, scored his 3rd career goal on a slick redirection 6 minutes and 9 seconds into the third. The number 3 overall pick in last year's draft has been a bright spot for the lowly Blackhawks since making his NHL debut on March 24th. Both teams play again on Saturday. Carolina is in Utah, and Chicago hosts St. Louis. Alex Iafallo, Josh Morrissey, and Jonathan Taves scored as the Winnipeg Jets beat the St. Louis Blues 3-2 Thursday night, keeping their playoff hopes alive. Mark Scheifele had 2 assists, and Connor Hellebuck made 20 saves for Winnipeg, who improves to 35, 31, and 12, and has 82 points. The Jets went into the game 4 points behind Nashville, who has 84, for the second Western Conference wildcard spot. Dylan Holloway and Colton Perico scored for St. Louis, who is 33 and 33 and 12, and Jordan Binnington had 31 saves. The Blues, who have 78 points, took a hit to their playoff hopes with 4 games remaining in the regular season. Morrissey slammed home the rebound of a shot by Jacob Bryson to give the Jets their first lead of the game with 5 minutes and 49 seconds left in the second period, and Taves made it 3-1 just a minute and 40 seconds later. Robert Thomas flicked a pass backward between his legs to Holloway for a goal from the right circle that opened the scoring at the 4 minute and 56 second mark of the first period. Thomas had 325 assists for the Blues, tied with Al McLinnis for the 5th most in franchise history. Iafallo poked home a feed from Scheifele from point-blank range near the midway point of the first period. Perico, on a breakaway, beat Hellebuck to the glove side to cap the scoring with 7 minutes left in the third period. The Jets will host Philadelphia on Saturday, while the Blues visit Chicago on Saturday. In scores from around the MLB yesterday, the Miami Marlins beat the Cincinnati Reds 8-1, while the Athletics took down the New York Yankees 1-0. The Minnesota Twins beat the Detroit Tigers 3-1, and the Arizona Diamondbacks routed the New York Mets 7-1. While the San Diego Padres beat the Colorado Rockies 7-3 in 12 innings. In the NBA last night, the Toronto Raptors beat the Miami Heat 128-114, while the New York Knicks took down the Boston Celtics 112-106. The Indiana Pacers routed the Brooklyn Nets 123-94, while the Houston Rockets beat the Philadelphia 76ers 113-102. And the LA Lakers beat the Golden State Warriors 119-103. In the NHL last night, the New York Islanders beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 5-3, while the Buffalo Sabres shut out the Columbus Blue Jackets 5-0. The Ottawa Senators beat the Florida Panthers 5-1, and the Detroit Red Wings took down the Philadelphia Flyers 6-3. The Pittsburgh Penguins beat the New Jersey Devils 5-2, while the Montreal Canadiens took down the Tampa Bay Lightning 2-1. The Calgary Flames fell to the Colorado Avalanche 3-1, while the Dallas Mavericks beat the Minnesota Wild 5-4. The Utah Mammoth beat the Nashville Predators 4-1, while the Seattle Kraken beat the Las Vegas Golden Knights 4-3 in a shootout victory. The Anaheim Ducks routed the San Jose Sharks 6-1, and the LA Kings beat the Vancouver Canucks 4-1. Leading the Masters after the first day is Rory McIlroy, tied for first with Sam Burns. They are both 5 under par, and a 3-way tie for third is Kurt Kitayama, Patrick Reed, and Jason Day, all 3 under as well. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL Sports Wire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Looking for a provider who puts your health first? SIU Family Medicine is accepting new patients. Call 217-735-2317 today to schedule your first appointment. That's 217-735-2317. SIU Medicine, forward for you.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Tomorrow is the day, Islamabad the place. Vice President Vance to lead the U.S. delegation in peace talks with Iran. The talks come as a 2-week ceasefire hangs on by a thread. Israel and Hezbollah continue trading fire in Lebanon, and Tehran maintains control of the Strait of Hormuz. Ukraine's president says his country played a key role in the Iran war, shooting down Iranian-designed drones in a number of Mideast countries, drones of the same kind that Russia has unleashed on Ukraine. Melania Trump says she's been the victim of a smear campaign trying to link her to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The First Lady says she had no connection whatsoever to Epstein or his criminal activities. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures narrowly mixed. The Dow futures down 1 point. NASDAQ futures up 34. More details, srnnews.com.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into. And that's MetaShare. Maybe you've heard joining MetaShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month. And that's huge, but it's also true. People are just